Hi there, podcast and public radio fans. Heath Drusen here, host and creator of the Extremely American podcast. I'm working on season 3, which is an urgent story about neo-Nazi terrorists and how they helped build a modern white supremacist movement, even from prison. Some of their ideas have even made it to today's White House. It's both a gripping true crime story and a timely warning about threats to our democracy. And this time, my investigative reporting is funded by you. To support the project, please make a tax-deductible contribution at extremelyamerican.org. That's extremelyamerican.org. And thanks.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Samantha Wright, filling in for Jim Gaudet. This is Idaho Matters. You may remember Zoidberg. No, not the character from the animated series Futurama, though that's where it's got its name. I'm talking about the grabbing tool that Boise State's microgravity team built for NASA to collect rock and dust samples off an asteroid. They got to take it to an underwater NASA lab to test it out. And when I reported on Zoidberg 10 years ago, the team was talking about building another tool, and this one would be an autonomous robot that could collect rocks off the moon or Mars, and calling it Bender, also from the series. So flash forward a decade, and now a new team, a student-run engineering company at Boise State, just tested a custom-built lunar robot called Bender 5.0 at a lab in Florida that recreates what it's like on the surface of the moon. And they're here to tell us how it went. So with me now are the instructors for the team, which is known as the Bender Autonomous Robotic Systems, or Bender ARS. Steve Swanson is a retired astronaut who's also the Boise State Distinguished Educator in Residence, and Oliver McDonald, computing PhD student at BSU. Along with them are Bender alumni and electrical engineer student Jonathan Yalico and mechanical engineering student Kyle Bailey, who's the Bender Drive Train team member. Okay, that's a mouthful. Welcome everybody to the show. How you doing? Hi.
Doing fine, thank you.
Doing good.
Thank you for having us.
Well, thanks for being here. Okay, who can tell me about Bender? And yell out your name while you're talking. Who can tell me about Bender? Not the robot, the team. Who is the Bender team, and how did you come about?
Well, I guess I'll jump in with this one first. The Bender team started, as you said, many years ago, and it was just some students that wanted to do robotics. And we got interested in NASA at the same time and found out about a program that we could do NASA and robotics. And it was all student driven, and I was just there to help out and get the program going. And then and now it's grown to like over 30 students working on this project and testing their robot in Florida.
Wow. Okay. Steve, you said it's a student-run program. Oliver, students also own whatever they build, right, in the program? Is that what I saw?
Yeah, so when the students go through competition, the students do give rights for the designs to NASA for NASA to use different parts of the robot.
Mm-hmm.
That said, as this is not a traditional lab and this is not a traditional project for students to be a part of, they do walk away with what they designed as not only something they can say, hey, this is a project we work on, but as saying, this is a full piece of technology we engineered and developed at their time at Boise State.
Well, that's really cool. Usually that doesn't happen. You don't always get to walk away with what you built. Let's talk about the robot, Bender 5.0. Who can tell me, what does Bender do?
I'm going to vote Jonathan to do that.
Yeah, I can jump into that.
Tell us, Jonathan.
Yeah, of course. So Bender 5.0, as the name entails, is an iteration off of previous designs. There have been some big changes, some smaller changes. This year we focused a lot on optimizing last year's design, but its primary objective is to be able to collect lunar dust or moon dirt, known as regolith, and excavate it and be able to autonomously transport it to a desired location. The goal behind this is so that it can be used almost as like a natural um, kind of wall, as it is hard to build structures in the moon or out in space. And so the best way to build kind of protection against things that might be sent to the moon are using the resources that are already there. So our team is based off of kind of four smaller sub teams consisting of a regolith team, so in charge of excavating the lunar dirt, a drivetrain team, which is in charge of creating the means to transport the robot, a chassis team, which is the central kind of box that holds all of the electronics and also is in charge of power distribution. And finally, the navigation team, which gives the robot its autonomy, designing its autonomy and making sure that it can do the tasks that we give it. So with these four sub teams, we have worked on the robot over the last year, and we're able to go to Exolith Labs in Florida, where they have this huge box where they have the closest thing to lunar dirt available, a bunch of grounded silica, iron oxide, bunch of other rare earth metals that simulate closely to what it's like in the moon. I was lucky enough to be able to step in it, and the feeling is very, very unique. It almost feels like you're walking on flour or powdered snow. It is very soft, and because it is so fine, the smallest bit of like kicking or moving the lunar regolith will quickly make it go up to air. I'm sure we've all baked something where we accidentally spilled a little flour and it just goes everywhere. It is very, very similar when you step into the Exolith lab.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to come back to the lab. But Kyle, you're the drive train team member. Tell me about Bender and the drivetrain, and describe what Bender looks like. Give us a visual if you can.
So, if you can imagine like the treads are like tracks on a tank or a snowmobile with a small metal box on top, and then essentially it's called a drum. We have two arms attached to the chassis, which is the box on top, that has like a spinning drum that picks up the dirt. So basically, on drivetrain team, I was responsible for making the robot move. So we had to make like a robust just way to move it. So there's a lot of like options, like if you wanted to do with like wheels or some kind of tracks, but it's you've got to make something that can move through the rough terrain on the moon and move through the sort of like flour-like substance that the dirt is made out of. So it provides a challenge there. Just like a lot of normal tires won't work. You'll get stuck in the sand.
Oh, good analogy. Good analogy. Oliver, I think you were there at this place. I was calling it the pit, where there are gray dirt and rocks, just like the moon. And from the pictures you sent me, everybody's wearing a spacesuit. Is this simulating the atmosphere on the moon as well?
So yeah, every time we go to Exlith, we'll send a few students into the pit. And the reason they're in the full, as we call them, bunny suits, and in the photos, the students are wearing what are called positive pressure ventilators that just allow them to breathe clean air. Because, as John and Kyle said, we're working in this very fine flour-like substance that's actually silica and iron oxide. And silica and iron oxide are not really meant to be components inside of your lungs. So it's more for protection for the students themselves as they work in this environment, which is something a lot of engineering and STEM students as a whole end up running into because we end up in situations where we're working with interesting materials that might not be the best for just people to interact with directly. That said, the rest of us outside of the pit aren't in any of these suits. We are just there in standard day-to-day clothes, and they've just got a particle sensor to make sure that the air outside of the pit doesn't have too high of a particle content so that it stays safe for everyone.
Well, this sounds very realistic. So you can try out Bender on basically the closest we can get to a lunar surface here on Earth. And again, from the pictures, it looks like Bender, while he was kind of rolling around in the dirt, moon dirt, got stuck up on a rock. Is this part of the deal? You've got to make sure not only that it can pick up dirt, but that it can get around and over and away from rocks?
So in the competition itself, if we hit a rock, we lose a lot of points in the competition.
Ooh.
And if we go into a small crater or one of the holes that they'll dig, it's an immediate fail. So we are not actually allowed to really hit any rocks, which is one of the biggest challenge for the students. They have to spend a year working on designing this robot, this system that runs entirely on its own. But the first time they get to test how well the system does is when they're live at competition or at Excelit without any prior data from the last year. And that was a big goal this year, was to help collect data for the students so they have a bit more to be prepared. That said, the photo of the robot on the rock was more of just a fun photo that we did with the robot at the end. After testing was done, we're like, it's been 4 hours. Let's get some good photos of the robot, and then let's go get some good lunch.
So that wasn't a fail. We're gonna put some pictures of all this up on our website, BoiseStatePublicRadio.org. Oliver, you mentioned the challenge. Steve, I was going to ask you about the NASA Lunabotics Challenge. I think I'm saying that right. Can you tell me about it?
That is correct, and that's what Oliver was talking about. So NASA at Kennedy Space Center has a challenge, and there's actually a group of challenges that NASA puts on called the Artemis challenges. We compete in other ones also, but this is the one at Kennedy Space Center, and it's called the Lunabotics. And the idea behind that, of course, is for the student teams to make a robot that can build a berm, just as John was pointed out before. And the idea of that berm, though, is to protect the habitats when a vehicle lands on the moon and kicks up a bunch of dust. Don't want that to get on the habitats. And so the idea, they're trying to figure this out. So really, it's making prototypes for NASA so they can see all these different options. So when they build their own, they have a lot of things to start off with. That's what NASA does with these ideas. They get good ideas from students all around the country to come there and try theirs out, and then NASA gets to see that as also in these challenges. They get possibly a pipeline of engineers for NASA too who want to come work there. So this is a good way for students to also get into NASA.
Well, I was going to say the idea behind the Bender ARS is to give students that real world experience. Oliver, are you seeing that? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, we've had a lot of students get hired to one of the local robotics companies between the Bender ARS program and two others that Steve teaches at Boise State as well. We've had many students go work for NASA or some of the other NASA companies. But for the students that we've worked with here in Boise who's gotten jobs after the class, some of the things we hear from their employers is that they're shocked that some of these students in robotics are walking into their jobs knowing industry tools that the majority of candidates have never touched or heard of before.
Oh.
And the students are facing challenges that they're going to face when they land jobs in robotics, in research and development, and any of these fields way sooner than the majority of their colleagues do throughout not just Boise State, but other universities throughout the U.S.
And Kyle and Jonathan, do you think this program is doing a good job of getting engineers like yourselves ready for the outside world? Jonathan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Before Bender, we had like classes offer some smaller projects, but I would say nothing to the scale where there's no like super concrete direction for how we build the robot. It is a lot more realistic to where we are assigned a task, and then we have to essentially learn and apply our skills and keep learning skills to develop practical knowledge. So I would 100% agree that it has prepared me a lot.
Kyle, what about you?
Yeah, it's definitely important. Things like this are how we get the like practical skills outside of class to help us get like jobs, and it's definitely helped me look better on like my resume and for jobs I've applied to. And so like when you're in class, it's mostly theory, and like John said, there's some small projects, but they aren't on the same level or scale or just a level of involvement with like other people.
Steve, you're a retired NASA astronaut. You've been in space a lot. How does Bender measure up? You work with a lot of NASA engineers. How's Bender on that scale?
It's good. It's a good prototype. I mean, one thing I always like to point out, the first time you build anything as an engineer, even NASA like that, it probably doesn't work as well as you wanted it to. And that's one thing they get to learn out of this project is that it's always an iteration of projects. And that's why kind of like Bender 5.0, you talk about that. We do iterate on this kind of stuff, but that's standard engineering. But I do believe it's a good product, and it's something similar to what some NASA robots have looked like.
What's next for Bender?
Doing the competition again next year, and and we'll build a new one.
Oh wow! Well, this has been great.
Better one. Yeah.
Always a better mousetrap. Well, thanks
Yep.
everybody. This is great. Good luck next year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with the instructors for the team known as Bender Autonomous Robotic Systems, or Bender ARS. That's Steve Swanson, retired NASA astronaut, also the Boise State Distinguished Educator in Residence, and Oliver McDonald, computing PhD student at BSU. And we've been speaking with Bender alumni and electrical engineer student Jonathan Yalico, and mechanical engineering student Kyle Bailey, the Bender Drivetrain team member. We're going to put pictures of Bender and their time in the pit, the moon pit, up on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org.
You've been listening to the Idaho Matters podcast from Boise State Public Radio. To stay in touch, you can find quick Idaho daily news every morning when you subscribe to the Connector podcast. And if you haven't yet, could I ask you to leave us a review wherever you listen? We read every single one, and we'd love to hear from you.
So you can't see this, but hopefully you can hear it. Behind every Boise State Public Radio podcast is a team working hard to bring you stories that matter. So if you value podcasts like this one, please support them. Hit donate at boisestatepublicradio.org. Thanks.